For me, when earth element comes back into balance, our manifestation potential just goes through the roof because we're no longer seeking externally for validation. We're able to support ourselves. We're able to nourish ourselves. We're able to reassure ourselves. We have clear ideation and clear intention. We have clear mind. And from that place, we're able to formulate our plans. We're able to hear that divine guidance and take inspired action. And that is truly what makes us ultimately successful in this life. I really, truly believe that.
This is Leah Steele. Welcome to the Wealth Witch podcast. Just a few years ago, I experienced complete financial collapse. We lost a business, our home, and a car. My husband was selling plasma to pay for diapers and formula. I was living a life I hated, and I was miserable. It was the lowest part of my life. It ended up being my biggest blessing. Just a few short years later, I've designed the life of my dreams. I live a life of luxury in beautiful Bali, Indonesia, travel the world, and spend my days helping others manifest wealth and abundance. Living a purpose-led life changed everything for me. This podcast is about my journey, my top tips and tools for manifestation, and interviews with all the amazing, world-changing, inspiring people I meet along the way. Welcome to my world.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Wealth Witch podcast. I am your host, Leah Steele, and I'm super excited to be here today with part 2 in this special 5-part series that I'm doing on wealth consciousness as it relates to 5-element theory and the 5 elements. Today, we are going to be talking about the earth element, and I love talking about this one when it comes to wealth consciousness because this element happens to be where we store a lot of our scarcity and lack mentality. The 5 spirit that's associated with the earth element is the yi, and the yi is all about cultivating true purpose. And so as you can imagine, when it comes to wealth consciousness work and stepping fully into our purpose, it is very important that we're able to not only identify what that purpose is, but to actually be able to go out and cultivate it and activate and action that purpose. So the yi spirit, when in balance, has very, very clear ideation and clear intention. And when it's out of balance, it gets caught up in those obsessive and repetitive thought patterns, in worry. It can exhibit eating disorders. It has a lot of cognitive dissonance, so a lot of muddled thinking. And obviously, that really, really inhibits our ability to manifest wealth and abundance in our life. When we can't think clearly, we aren't able to properly action the things that we need to action in order to manifest. Another bit of pathology that can be associated with yi spirit imbalance is over nurturing other people to avoid our own growth. So I don't know how many of you do that, but I think that most of us are guilty of that at one time or another. And then I mentioned the stagnation with manifestation that can occur. And that is because when the yi is out of balance, it has difficulty transforming ideas into action. So it has difficulty. It's receiving the divine guidance, but the divine guidance isn't clear. And then it has difficulty actually turning that guidance into inspired action. So the season associated with the earth element, and all of the 5 elements have seasons associated with them. The season associated with the earth element is late summer. And the primary emotions associated with the earth element are worry, sympathy, and understanding. So as you can see, or as you can imagine, when we have an earth element imbalance, we're worried about everything. And so this is where that lack and scarcity really anchors in. We're worried that we're not going to have enough. We're worried that we're not going to be able to provide. We're worried that we're always going to be living in scarcity and lack mentality. And this elemental imbalance in our spleen and stomach, because those are the 2 organs associated with the earth element, is what leads to us really being anchored into that lack and scarcity mentality. So when the earth element is in balance, not only does it have clear ideation and clear intention, it also has the ability to give support and nourishment to others. and it has the ability to ask for help and take in nurture and care when it's offered. So that balance is really, really important. Earth element out of balance won't ask for help. It doesn't have the ability to accept support. It doesn't have the ability to accept nourishment from others. And when we can't ask for help and we can't accept support, it really messes with our ability to create. It really messes with our ability to manifest, because manifestation is energy, right? And in order for us to be in creation and manifestation energy, we have to be in a state of fluidity, meaning we have to be able to give and receive with balanced equal measure. So when in balance, earth element also has the ability to distinguish between when it's appropriate to look after our own needs and when it's appropriate to care for others. So another thing that I see a lot with out of balance earth element, which I believe absolutely is one of the number one killers of being able to manifest, is overgiving. And you'll hear me say this a lot. In fact, in my mystical manifestation, we talk about this a lot. And if you're interested in that course, I'll put the link in the description of the podcast, because it's an incredible 5-module course that's all about manifestation. But one of the big things that I talk about in there is, especially for women, overgiving is the quickest way to debilitate your ability to manifest wealth and abundance in your life, because we can't create from a depleted cup. And when we're in that state of constant overgiving, we're constantly and continually depleting our cup. So we should never be giving unless we're giving from states of overflow. So that's why it's so important that we remain dedicated and disciplined to our personal practices, that we're filling our cup first, that we're making sure that we're caring for ourselves appropriately. And then from that place, we're able to truly give, we're able to truly make a difference in the lives of others, and we're able to manifest because we're not over giving, we're not depleting our cup to give to others. And I think that we do that a lot because we get a payoff from it, right? Like, we absolutely get a payoff from being martyrs. And this is something that runs rampant in the spiritual community and something that you hear me talk about a lot. It's like, come down off our cross already and make some money. I think I did a whole entire podcast episode on that. We get a payoff from being able to say, oh, look at how generous we're being. Look at how much we're giving. We're giving so much that we're depleting ourselves. Like, look at what a martyr I am. Everybody look at me. Everybody reward me. Everybody think, oh, what a saint, how amazing that person is. And it's just a bunch of bullshit, right? Because truly, from that state of depletion, from that state of giving from a depleted cup, we're actually not giving the best version of ourselves. We're giving a shitty, half-assed version of ourselves. And then we're not actually making the impact in the world that we desired to make in the first place. Whereas if we're giving from a full cup, if we're giving from states of overflow, people are getting our 100%. They're getting the very best version of us. And that very best version of us has the ability to make tremendous impact and affect incredible change on this planet. So when earth element is out of balance, some issues and difficulties that can arise is, and we talked a little bit about this already, but difficulty feeling supported, feeling nourished, getting nourishment, lots of issues around feeling centered and stable. And as you know, I am huge on safety, stability, and security. When our earth element is out of balance, it doesn't matter how much money we have in our bank account. We cannot feel centered and stable. And so it's really important that we bring this element into balance for manifestation and for creation, because we manifest and create best from places of feeling centered, stable, and secure. Other issues and difficulties with earth element imbalance are having mental clarity. And as you know, it's very difficult to action ideas, make money when we're confused or when we don't have clarity. You'll hear me say all the time, I take no action at all until I know the exact next right action to take, which means through the cultivation of my connection to my higher self and source, I receive divine guidance. But I don't take any action at all until that divine guidance is completely clear to me. And so I work a lot on bringing my earth element into balance because I don't want to be in states of worry. I don't want to be in states of mental confusion. And so this is an element that I work on quite a bit, bringing back into balance, besides the fact that I hate out of balance earth element people because they are needy as fuck and I can't handle it. So other issues and difficulties associated with earth element being out of balance is they have a lot of difficulty being understood. And it's not even necessarily that they have difficulty being understood, but they have difficulties in feeling like they're not being understood. So out of balance earth element wants to be understood, wants to be heard, wants to be supported, wants to be nourished, but has tons of difficulty getting that because they perpetuate emotional pathology that repels people from them. And then those people aren't able to provide for their needs in the way that feels supportive to somebody who's got an earth element imbalance. Hey, I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Wealth Witch podcast. I wanted to take a quick break to talk to you about an amazing offer I have to work with me like my high-end clients do for a fraction of the investment. If there's anything that the last several months of chaos and change has showed us, it's that our perceptions of what is safe, stable, and secure is anything but. You are your guarantee. You are the key to unlocking and calling in the wealth that you desire. If you don't already know, I'm all about belief and intention, and for me, deciding is the most important action you can take. So I don't need to convince you. You'll either resonate with this or not. The only prerequisite that you need to have is a desire to change your current financial reality. This mastermind I'm about to tell you about is about empowering you to take back control of your financial destiny and take action towards creating the life that you deeply desire. The Wealth Alchemy Mastermind is hosted via the Telegram app, and I've set it up in a way that it's accessible. This is an incredible opportunity to work with me in this mastermind at a special pre-launch rate of $44 a month. Yes, you heard that right. Just $44 a month to work with me at the same level that some of my high-end clients do. So what do you get? Weekly exclusive content and training, a monthly Zoom coaching call, a monthly Q&A session, wealth paradigm downloads, wealth activations, and a mastermind chat full of like-minded community. You aren't doing this mastermind for the content. You're doing it for the transmissions, period. You will be activated with abundance just by being in this container. But you have to act fast. The pre-launch offer is only available for a limited time, so click the link in the description of the podcast and sign up now. I'd love for you to join me, so do the thing. Now back to the podcast. Just to give you an idea of some of the physical pathology that can be associated with earth element being out of balance, poor or abnormal appetite. Again, remember that the organs associated with the earth element are the spleen and the stomach. So physical pathology has a lot to do with stuff in the stomach. So we can get bloating after meals, undigested food in the stools, loose stools, poor or abnormal appetite. Out of balance earth element frequently looks like being really tired in the morning, waking up tired even though you've rested all through the night. Having inappropriate sympathy, we talked before about the overthinking or worry. Out of balance earth element can also feel cold, can bruise easily, and can experience prolapse. So the spleen and the stomach, these two organs are the organs that rule the earth element. And in the spleen, we have emotional pathology like the need to smother people or over-mother people, the need to nourish people, the need to support people. And again, it's that external expression of those things. And typically when that happens, we're not caring for our own needs. We're not mothering ourselves. We're not nourishing and supporting ourselves. We're trying to express that outwardly so that we don't have to look at our own shit. This organ, the spleen, also can manifest when it's out of balance or when it's got stored emotional pathology in it of having an overage of empathy or sympathy or a complete and total lack of empathy and sympathy. People with spleen imbalance show up as needy, they seek attention, or they go to the opposite end and repress or suppress their needs. They can have a real lack of consideration for others. They worry a lot. They have a lot of doubt. They have that feeling of sort of just overall heaviness. Spleen imbalance can represent a huge lack of stability and cynicism. And envy also shows up here. And as we know, like envy and greed are two of these constructs or programs that we've been programmed and conditioned with to keep us feeling small, to keep us in constant division from each other. And so this is where we get the crab bucket mentality or the tall poppy syndrome, because we're programmed and conditioned to be envious of other people. And that obviously can be very, very debilitating and stop us from manifesting the things that we truly desire, and creating the lives that we deeply desire. So the stomach is all about disguising needs, being disconnected, being unreliable. We feel disappointed in other people a lot when we've got stomach earth imbalance. Stomach earth imbalance people also are those people that are frequently just always trying to keep the peace no matter what. And they have a real lack of balance, and they give in order to receive. And so this is something else I talk about in manifestation a lot. When we're giving in order to receive, we're not in an authentic, true expression of manifestation. And so we actually give in order to receive something, but in that act of giving in order to receive, we actually repel the thing from us that we want. And so when this element is imbalanced, it has the real ability to authentically give from a place of just truly desiring to give. And those people that give from a position of just truly wanting to give, they're some of the most abundant people that you will ever meet, because that universal law of giving kicks into place. When we give from a place of we desire to give, we desire to make a difference, we desire to do good in the world, and we're not doing it to get something in return, the universe shows up in kind and delivers the same thing to us. So if you feel like there's a potential that you have an earth element imbalance, these are some of the things that you might be asking yourself on a frequent basis. Who will give me the support and nourishment that I need? Constantly searching for somebody outside of self to give you support and nourishment instead of looking internally. Constantly feeling like you are not centered and stable. So asking yourself, how can I become centered and stable? How can I become centered and stable? You may frequently ask, how can I get what I want from the world? You may feel like the world never shows up for you, or things just don't go your way. Earth element people also really truly are tribal people, and they want to belong. And when your earth element is out of balance, it can really kick in that sacral tribal need to assimilate and feeling of not being good enough and wanting to belong. And so one of the questions you might be asking yourself is, how can I feel I belong? You may have felt different your whole life. You may have felt like the black sheep. You may have felt like you were always on the outside. And then the final primary question of the earth element is, who will really understand me? So again, it's that foundational part of the earth element. They want to be understood. They want to feel heard. They want to feel understood. They really want to truly be understood. So, for me, when earth element comes back into balance, our manifestation potential just goes through the roof, because we're no longer seeking externally for validation. We're able to support ourselves. We're able to nourish ourselves. We're able to reassure ourselves. We have clear ideation and clear intention. We have clear mind. And from that place, we're able to formulate our plans. We're able to hear that divine guidance and take inspired action. And that is truly what makes us ultimately successful in this life. I really, truly believe that. So yeah, it's about moving out of that feeling of being uncentered and dispersed and stuck in the heavy, and stop repressing our needs and show up in a place energetically where we're actually attracting abundance into our lives. I love diving into 5-element theory when it comes to manifestation and abundance, because the elements reveal so much about us. And remember that we each have all of the elements inside of us. And so at any given time, our earth element or our fire element or our metal element could be out of balance. And there are some really, really easy things that we can do to bring that back into balance. And I want to just give you a few ideas if you're feeling like you have a earth element imbalance of what you can do to bring your earth element back into balance. So these are some ways to heal and cultivate and nourish the earth element and its associated five spirit, which is the yi. So you can make food a sacred practice by saying a brief prayer of gratitude before eating and taking a moment to really center yourself and appreciate the beauty of the food that is bringing forces of life into your body. So because this element and this spirit is associated with the stomach, it's really infusing your food with positive energy and that practice of eating. So not rushing, actually taking the time to appreciate the sacredness of the nourishment that you're putting into your body. So this is a really, really incredible way to nourish and heal and cultivate the earth spirit. Avoid clutter. So clear your space when you work, study, and meditate. And, make a practice of this, even if it's just once a week, finding an area in your house that's starting to get cluttered and cleaning that up. That's really going to cultivate healthy yi spirit. If you're expending a lot of energy taking care of other people, make conscious time to take care of yourself. Take time to rest, to walk, be quiet. This is where cultivating our personal practices and maintaining dedication and discipline to our personal practices becomes very important. This is part of the reason why I rarely have an out of balance earth element, is because I am dedicated and disciplined to my personal practices. I make sure that I put myself first. I make sure that I'm giving from a state of overflow. I make sure that my cup is always full before I give to anyone, including my clients, my husband, and even my children. So take your own words seriously. If you say you're going to do something, hold yourself accountable. And this is that piece of radical self-responsibility and radical accountability. This is really important when it comes to balancing the earth element, because doing what we say we're going to do makes us very mindful of not overcommitting. And so, because frequently, like, we say we want to do something and we make a commitment to doing it to ourselves or others, right? And breaking commitments to ourselves is, I feel like, much more debilitating to our overall life than breaking commitments to others. Because when we break commitments to ourselves, we're basically slapping our soul in the face and saying that we're not worthy and we're not deserving of the things that we desire because we're not willing to keep commitments to ourselves. That's another podcast, though. So hold yourself accountable to doing the things that you say you're going to do. When you hold yourself accountable, it also really makes you mindful not to overcommit. And so that's a big part of this earth element balance, only committing to the things that you know that you can do. And in return for only committing, then you're going to make sure that you're not overgiving. You're going to make sure that you're not giving from a depleted cup. Saying no. And this may seem so trivial, but we say yes so often to things that we don't want to say yes to. And in doing that, we really betray ourselves. So you can say no to the things that you don't want to do. And you don't actually have to give an explanation for why you don't want to do it. And that's the other thing I think that, earth element, when it's out of balance, it always wants to explain why it can't do something. The truth is, you don't owe anyone an explanation for anything. You can choose to give an explanation if that feels good to you. But one of the things that you could do to practice bringing your earth element back into balance is just to say no to the things that you don't want to do, and say no without giving an explanation of why. And then just really eating mindfully. And we touched on that when I first started talking about ways to heal this spirit, but eat mindfully, eat with gratitude, eat with no distractions. So stay off your phone, stay off your computer, go and sit down by yourself once a day and just enjoy a really, really beautiful meal. These are absolutely the ways to heal, cultivate, nourish your earth element and the yi spirit. And remember that in doing this and bringing this element back into balance, what you're doing is creating the ability to cultivate true purpose. So that cultivation is actually what creates your ability to create. When you're cultivating, like you're digging into the soil, you're planting seeds, you're sowing seeds, you're enabling things to be able to grow from the soil. So that is cultivating. And there is nothing more powerful in manifestation than knowing and being able to cultivate our true purpose. So I hope that you enjoyed this special edition episode on the earth element. I have an incredible course getting ready to start with my colleague Michelle Patrick called Inner Alchemy. It's starting on January 29th, and it's a 6-week deep dive into the elements, bringing them all back into balance. It's an incredible, incredible journey of self-mastery. We will drop the link in the description of the podcast so you can find out more. And if you want to take a deeper dive into 5-element theory, Michelle and I also have a free Facebook group called The Element Factor, and we'll put the link for that down below as well. And there's about 6 hours of incredible epic content where we dive deeper into the 5 spirits associated with the elements and the psychological associations with having elemental imbalance. So definitely check out the Element Factor if you are interested. And so until next time, this is the Wealth Witch signing off. Remember, it is your divine birthright to be wealthy in all areas of your life. That includes your health and your wellness. And you're so worthy and you're so deserving of it.
That's a wrap. Thank you for joining me. Remember, wealth is a mindset, and you absolutely deserve to live the life you deeply desire. And with belief and intention, you create your reality. Until next time, this is Leah Steele, the Wealth Witch.